Hello, everybody. This is Mike from Nymphs, Knots, and Nonsense, and I got a new Vice. I got a new Regal Revolution, paid for it myself, no sponsorship. And I'm going to talk you through what it is and why I got it and what purchasing decisions I made into it and what configuration decisions I put into it. So first of all, I want to talk about the base. So this is the model as I purchased, except with the exception of the material spring because I didn't want to take it off. But really, this is what went into my thoughts when I got it. So number one is my old Vice, it just died. It was old. I got it in 2001 or 2002. So it'd been kicking around with me for 15 plus years. And I had this horrible habit of picking it up like this. And so over time, I got a little bit of a warping here in the head and then in the shaft that goes from here to here that the vice jaws are hanging off of. And so over time that started to get out of true and it started to add some friction. So it wasn't spinning nicely. And I tried a couple things. I took it apart, I lubed it, put it back together, and then eventually I had a little sliver of material inside the head that caught the shank. And so I had to go take it and replace it because it would cost me actually more money to replace the head and the shank than it would to just buy a new vise. And they didn't make heads and shanks for that old model because it's old. So I just went out and bought a new vise. Now I know Joe Calcavecchia, Joe Cordero, because I live in Massachusetts. They're in the fly tying community and fishing clubs and things around here. We went on a fishing trip together with a bunch of other people. It wasn't just the three of us together, but they were definitely in the Regal camp. And so I watched them use their Regals, checked out a couple Regals that people had, and really decided that I liked this Revolution. So the old school Regal Vices had a straight shank and a hinge here that went to the jaws. This is a Revolution, so it's a true rotary. So you have the handle here, and the whole thing rotates. And so I'm a huge fan of rotary vices. Said, yeah, you know what, that's pretty good, and I went out and picked one up. Other decisions that I put into this. Number one is the base. You want a base that is heavy. It sucks to travel with because it just adds weight to all your gear. You have to lug it around everywhere, but they're fantastic to actually tie on. So I got a heavier base, and this is a base with pockets. So it's called a pocket base. It has these little, just like little machined divots that are in here, and they're fantastically good for holding beads, for holding hooks, for holding some materials. You can put them in there, and it sort of is like a built-in organizer in the base of your vise. The stem itself, not a lot of options in there. The head is a rotary head. It does have a handle here. It's got a tensioner here, so you can loosen up this thumb screw, and that makes it easier to turn or not turn to hold in place. And if you loosen it up a lot, you can just free spin this thing. You give it one twist and it'll spin, and you can add a lot of thread or a lot of material very easily that way. The jaws themselves, I got the hook jaw, which is fantastically good for trout size flies. So something down to a 22 or a 24, all the way up to say a 2-aught, 3-aught. Actually check the documentation because that range is a little bit different. I'm doing it from memory. And the way that it grabs the hook is you just squeeze this bar here and you'll see the threads open. Let's see, like that, then that. So it's just here, like that and that. So it's incredibly easy to get the right pressure, the right size based on the hook. You're not making a lot of adjustments simply because it's just that simple cam that holds your hook. Now, out of the box, this is incredibly easy to put together. The pedestal comes by itself. There's this thumb screw, and the shank here, or the shaft, has a little flat spot. You put the flat spot to where the thumb screw grabs it, keeps it from twisting forward and backward. That's incredibly easy. That goes through the head. That's already there. And the jaws are replaceable. It's just a simple thumb screw here. You can undo the thumb screw. You'll see there's a little flat spot here on this shaft, and you just put it in, line up the thumb screw with the shaft, and crank the thumb screw down, and you've installed the head. Incredibly easy to put together, incredibly easy to maintain, and everything's modular. They sell a lot of other vices, or vice jaws. There's a saltwater jaws, very strong. There's a stainless steel one that are really good. There's a regular set of jaws, different sets of jaws. They're all modular. They're a little bit more expensive because they have all of this, the lever and the spring inside. That's all in one unit. So the jaws are a little bit more expensive than they are on other vices where you just replace this section here. But it works great. I pretty much love it. I take my vise a lot and move it. I do have a table that I tie on that's portable. It's pretty big, so I can't put it here when I make videos. So I wanted something that was a setup that I could move around, that was a little bit portable, that had some of the amenities that I'm used to on my bigger workstation. So a couple things that I've added to this. Number one is I've added the material spring here. That just catches material. I've used it on all my vices since I was like 12. I added a toolbar. So this is the Regal toolbar. It just has a hole here that goes through the shaft of the vise, and then you've got a thumb screw to tighten it and loosen it up. And I keep that hanging behind. I'll show you here in a minute what it looks like. But I keep a pair of scissors, a pair of fine scissors, a pair of thicker scissors, and a bodkin here inside of that toolbar, because those are the tools that I use most frequently. So I'm not having to search on the table. I know exactly where they're at because I put them inside of my little toolbar. I added a bobbin cradle, and this one just goes on this little bar or this little nut looking thing goes on the shaft of the vise, and then it screws on here. So this thumb screw is a tightener so that it doesn't move. This one over here tightens the bar of the bobbin cradle so you can position it exactly where you need it. I did try, they have a version that's a hand clamp. I tried that and it was too hard to get the end of the rest. So this part right here, exactly where I wanted it to be. Whenever I let go of the clamp, it would move a little bit. So I eventually said, the hell with it. Get this thing. It's a lot more reliable. It's a little bit more expensive, but okay. But that gives me the exact placement that I want. And the last thing that I got to modify this, I kind of laughed when I got it because it's a 3D printed part. You can actually see the marks on it here where they printed it and inside. But this goes on the back of the rotary head and gives you kind of a rotation or a jog dial, similar to what sewing machines have. So you can put this on and it gives you that reach. You can still use the handle if you want, but I find that I use this quite a bit just to slowly rotate forward, rotate backward, and position that fly in exactly the angle that I want it to be so I can tie on materials. And this is the finished vise as I use it. So you can see I've got my bobbin cradle here. I've got it up just a little bit. I usually rest my toolbar right here on the pedestal itself. I've got my material spring in. I've got my little jog dial or my grip that's there. And then from above, you'll notice I have the toolbar is a little bit back towards me. So that way I can move the bobbin cradle around as I need to. So I just cheated it a little bit forward or towards me. And that's it. So that's my vise. I've been using it for a couple of months now. Absolutely having a blast with it. I really just love this thing. It makes tying so much nicer. The only downside is it's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit pricey, but that's okay. I go tie some flies. Having said all that, I am Mike, and this is Nibs, Knots, and Nonsense. Thank you, everybody. I shall see you in the next video.